Hello, BookTube, and welcome to another weekly reading vlog. I'm going to have to keep things really short this week because I've got one sick kid. So my wife and I are juggling the childcare where she looks after the sick kid and I'm busy keeping the other kid out of trouble. So I can't really take more than a couple minutes to film this video, but I'm just going to go really quickly through some of the stuff I read. So I finished up Tides of War at the beginning of this week and have already reviewed it on this channel and posted that review. So my next reading project I decided was going to be the Epic of Gilgamesh, which I got out of my school library. Now this consists of a long 50-page introduction by the translator, in which he gives not only the background to the epic itself, but the background to the civilization that produced it, and some of the background for how it's been discovered and deciphered and translated, which was absolutely fascinating. I'm not sure I could, from memory, get all the details straight about which all the different languages and all the different cultures and the different timelines, but I remember just being filled with a sense of awe as I read it about how this whole great civilization could just vanish and leave so few traces available to modern historians. And yet leave so much. I mean, so many tablets have been uncovered. But it's just, that's the thing, the tablets have been uncovered by archaeologists because it's largely been forgotten by history until the archaeologists came in. So that was all fascinating. Now the epic itself, I'm 34 pages into it, into the fourth tablet of the epic. You know what it's like reading these old epic poems. It's not quite like reading a modern day novel. Narration is a little bit stiff. It's somewhat repetitive, but it's readable. It's understandable. The general idea of this epic I find fascinating. The actual narration of the poem is, well, kind of as I expected. It's a little bit stiff and wooden, but the general idea of it I find quite interesting. So I'm glad I'm reading this, and I am finding it quite readable in the sense that it's easy to understand what's going on. I was a little bit worried it would be, so alien as to be indecipherable, but it is very easy to understand the basic story so far. In the Jerusalem Bible, I read from 1 Samuel 12 to 25. So that is the whole story of the beginning of Saul's reign, how Saul has early victories against Israel's enemies, but then loses God's favor. David gets anointed, David and Goliath. David becomes one of the mighty warriors under Saul. The whole Jonathan and David friendship. Then Saul tries to kill David. David flies away and becomes an outlaw. And I'm still in the David the Outlaw section of 1 Samuel. So a lot happening in here. A lot potentially that one could talk about, but like I said, I'm going to keep it short this week. I finished Finn Origins, which is a comic book that my coworker had loaned me, and I posted a review of it earlier this week. And then from my library, I got out Persepolis 2 for the next comic book. The idea is to always keep one comic book on my reading list or graphic novel. So, currently working on Persepolis 2 now. And then a couple book hauls. Couple books, which I'm counting as a book haul. One is a library book. So I was going in to get the Epic of Gilgamesh from the library, and I saw this on the new releases table. And there's a part of me which really gets into junk fantasy. It's a Dungeons and Dragons book here, so typical mass fantasy. I've got a weak spot for that, even though I regret to say I haven't really read as much as I would have liked to over the years, partially because I've been abroad and it's a little bit more difficult to track down. And I had already decided I was going to read the Epic of Gilgamesh when I walked into the library. But I wanted to read this as well, and I was worried it wouldn't still be on the shelves when I came back, because those new release books tend to get checked out pretty quickly. So I just checked it out as well, just to hold on to it. And so now this is staying on my shelves until I finish the Epic of Gilgamesh. And then the plan is that this will be a little bit of a guilty pleasure, sweet tooth indulgence after I work my way through the classics. And then this one I found on Book Street here in Saigon, used bookstore, The Hardy Boys, which I remember these books from being in my grandmother's shelves when I was a kid. And I think I may have read this one. I definitely read one or two of them. I don't remember well enough at all. But the Hardy books are another thing. Sorry, the Hardy Boys books. Another thing I've always been meaning to get back into. But again, difficult to track these books down here in Vietnam. But I found this book here, and it's one of the proper old bindings and everything. So I decided to pick that up. So that is my weekly reading vlog for this week.